Hi, I'm Lindsay Herman from Cake and Commerce, and today I'm going to show you how to make gluten-free banana bread. Now, don't be intimidated by all this stuff. It just, sometimes when you lay out ingredients, it looks a lot harder than it actually is. All we're going to do today is throw a bunch of dry ingredients in the mixer, throw some mashed bananas in the mixer with some eggs and some buttermilk and some oil and vanilla and butter and stuff, and mix it all up and get some really delicious banana bread. First thing we do is we have to mash a whole bunch of bananas. This recipe calls for 6 bananas. The more bananas, the tastier it is, I think. So I mash it all up in a 4-cup measure. That way I can see how many cups I've got. My goal is to get about 2.5 cups of mashed bananas. I like to measure it afterwards rather than by banana because bananas are pretty inconsistently sized. Also, you definitely want to use old bananas. Yeah, they're a little nastier than nice, fresh, just yellow bananas, but these have tons of flavor and they're also really easy to mash up. They're pretty soft, and don't worry about the black spots at all. Almost done. Peeling. Don't forget compost. Okay, now I have this really cool masher, but I know that these are pretty hard to find. So mash it any way you like. Sometimes when I have a lot of banana bread to make, I use a hand mixer. It goes really fast and it makes a very smooth banana puree. Okay, that is, about 2.5 cups of pureed banana. Now that we have our bananas mashed, we can start adding all of our dry ingredients to the bowl of our food processor. We have some teff flour and some light buckwheat. There's a little bit of sweet brown rice flour and tapioca starch. Just get all those in. Baking soda and baking powder, we need that for leavening. And of course, sugar for sweetness. So now I like to mix these all up together first, just so slowly. Once it's evenly mixed, we can stop the mixer. And now we're going to add our wet ingredients. Now, to make it a lot easier, I'm going to combine all the wet ingredients with the banana. There's no need to do it separately. I'm going to add in safflower oil and vanilla and mix those up. Now I'm going to put my buttermilk in. I've got a 1/2 cup plus 1/3 of a cup of buttermilk. Doesn't really matter if it's like super well mixed together. And then this is my secret ingredient, and it's optional. I put in a little bit of brown rum. This is a Haitian brown rum, and I love the flavor of it. I think it adds a lot to banana bread, but it's optional. The eggs I leave separate because the buttermilk is acidic and it will actually start to kind of cook the egg whites, and I don't want that happening. Now, before I can put my wet in, I do want to throw in some butter, and this is a stick of butter, and we're going to mix it up with the dry ingredients until it looks kind of like cornmeal. All right, so it's done. It took between 2 and 3 minutes to get that where we wanted it to be. One thing, don't forget, scrape down your paddle a little bit. This I just need to kind of knock down. I use a different kind of paddle that continuously scrapes down the bowl as it mixes, and it's super convenient. I love it, but stuff does get stuck. So now we're ready to add the wet ingredients. You can add it when it is not running, that's fine. Because this has no gluten in it, nothing funny is really going to happen. Got our bananas, throw in our eggs, and we're going to mix it for about 2 minutes. Okay, we can now turn it off and add our last ingredients. Now, I'm putting in chocolate chunks. I had a couple chocolate bars and I just chunked them up and threw them in there. You can use chocolate chips, you can use nuts, you can do nothing. Whatever you like, you can do 1 cup to about 2 cups for added flavor. And that's all we need to mix it in. And now we're ready to pour it into our prepared pan. Okay, so now we're ready to pour it into a parchment lined baking pan. I use parchment because I've tried it in other ways. I've greased the sides with butter and put gluten-free flour, but it usually gets really tough. So I find that parchment produces the most tasty and tender crust on it. I don't use Pam because it's got soy, and this is a soy-free recipe. But if you don't mind soy, you can definitely use Pam, and it'll work out just fine. And just pour it in. Now, sometimes I have a little leftover, and I'll make some muffins out of it. I'm going to just fill this one up a little more, though. The one thing I will say about making muffins with this batter, and this is definitely an issue with gluten-free, is that with muffins, the flour doesn't necessarily have enough time to absorb all the liquid in it, so sometimes it tastes a little more granular. What I like about the loaf bread is that there's enough time in the oven where it really absorbs a lot of the liquid, and so it doesn't have that sort of granular sandy flavor. This is a really smooth loaf of banana bread, and that's partially a product of being so big. So I'll pop it in the oven now. It goes into a 350-degree oven for about an hour. So you'll want to start looking at it at about the 45-minute mark. We'll just put it in now and let it go, do its thing. So once our banana bread's been out of the oven for about an hour, I will slice it up and eat it fresh. It's so good, and it slices up really well, and it's really soft and tender, and once you start eating it, it's really hard to stop. So this is Cake and Commerce's gluten-free banana bread. Hope you enjoy.